Okay, Chris, here's the hardware board. Hopefully you recognize it from the manual I sent. And again, I know it's hard to see. You can't really do macro with this thing. This is the microprocessor right here. Here are the two inputs for power, the two fuses, and all the outputs along here. And the pictures that were taken for the manual are probably much better than these. This is the address and so forth. And this is the connection where you daisy chain them or program them into the computer. And up here is, I'm sure you recognize this. This is a typical micro switch that, might be connected to the throttle or, whatever would be the trigger event to get this guy going. I've got the following things hooked up to it. I've got a stepper motor. I know that you had asked that it be able to drive stepper motors, so this board was built for something else. But what I did is I wrote a custom program for this microprocessor, and using this header right here, that custom program gets burned in to this microprocessor before the hardware is put in the box, and in its aluminum case, and then that is put in the cardboard box and shipped to the customer. So the changes I made to run the stepper motors and whatnot are done in software here and a little bit on the PC side that you've already seen, hopefully. So this is a stepper motor right here. It's a unipole stepper motor, which is the easiest kind to drive. They're fairly common. Bipolar stepper motors are a little bit more common. You can drive those as well, but they'll be a little bit slower on this particular board, and they will also require a relay to flip the polarity around because this board can't do that. If you're going to be driving a lot of stepper motors, or if most of the accessories that you plan to build are based on stepper motors, then it may make sense to go ahead and integrate another controller, probably from a different manufacturer, to run those. The next thing I have is just an LED light, and I apologize. I'll turn it this way. So that's an LED light. It's pulling a fair amount of current, and you'll see that guy toggling on and off. This thing, if you've never seen one before, you don't see them around that often. It's a solenoid, but it turns this shaft. And so it's like a stepper motor that will only go in one direction. Again, they're not as common as they used to be, but they are extremely cheap and very, very reliable. So if you have something that turns in increments only in one direction, then these are definitely the way to go. Here is just a regular indicator light. This might be a light that you have on the dashboard to let you know that something has happened, or a light that lets you know that the shocks have shifted to their stiffer setting. Not sure exactly what you would do with that. Here is a DC motor. So the other actuator that you might be using is a DC motor. So this is a geared DC motor. I put these little flags on it so you can see it turn. This is a relay. So for a DC motor, a relay is required. Again, if you're going to be doing a lot of things with DC motors and stepper motors, then we would go with another controller board. This controller board is meant primarily to switch coils and loads on and off and to PWM them, but it cannot flip its polarity. So anything that requires a flip of polarity requires a double pole, double throw relay. Not such a big deal if there's just one or two motors on the system, but if it ends up being a lot of motors, then we just go to a different controller. So I'm going to turn this on, turn the power on, and this is a complicated power supply. And so I'm going to actually turn the output on and go up to 12 volts or so. Oh, I got to switch to the 12 volt. Okay. So, we'll keep it right there at 12 volts. The board, I think I put it down in the manual was good to 60 or 70 volts, something like that. So I don't think your guys are going to blow it up or anything like that. Okay, that's just a little bit of drift on the power supply there. So now we can. I'm going to make the next video, and I hate to keep switching videos on you like this, but they're easier to upload if they're smaller.